Yo, what's good?
Why did you start it like that?
I don't know. That was embarrassing.
It is pretty embarrassing, but do you want to do a proper intro now?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, everybody, thank you for your patience just then. Welcome to the Claw and the King podcast. I am Zoops, joined by my co-host Dopey. We kind of did an emergency one. We usually do once every week. Sometimes we're a bit lazy. We might do a couple of days later. But this one, we just had to post another one because the amount of news that sort of hit us over the weekend and hit the sporting world over the weekend was
we're
just...
recording this on a Monday night, so grafting away. This is
a grind, baby.
This is
the grind. Great way to energize our viewers. But anyway, we've got a lot of topics to sort of bring up today. Obviously, football. There's a lot happened with Manchester United in particular. NBA free agency recap. A lot of hits and misses, in my opinion, in free agency. And then you've got the F1 action, which was pretty enthralling. Probably my favourite race of the year because Max Verstappen was out of contention. But it was, nevertheless, it was a very exciting race. So which sporting event would you like to lead us into, my friend?
Well, we'll get the F1 out of the way. So yeah, British Grand Prix, Silverstone. All the commentators are biased. They're like, oh, it's the best race of the year, best track. Everyone loves Silverstone.
Was it the best race of the year?
Well, it was a good race.
Exactly.
But yeah, so finally Max lost.
Get in there, my son.
Probably would have won if it wasn't for damage, but Ferrari will take it. They finally get a win on the board. Carlos Sainz's first win of his career, surprisingly. Very surprisingly, really. He definitely should have won by now. But he gets it out of the way, and I think it was his first pole as well, so good weekend for him.
Props to him.
Leclerc finished in third, I think. Was Lewis second or Lewis third?
No, Lewis was third. Leclerc was fourth.
Oh, who was second?
Checo. He came back.
Oh,
he
yeah.
originally
Perez got hit on the first lap and then come back for second, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, usually the thing is with F1 races, I'm always hyped for them. I get into them. Oh, yes. Finally, F1 is here. But the problem in Australia is that it's on 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And by the time you've watched the first 10 laps, especially this season, it's been, Leclerc's in pole. And he's like 20 seconds ahead of the next car. Or Verstappen's in first and he's 20 seconds ahead of the next car. There hasn't been that many exciting races. But the first second I watched it, as soon as Max Verstappen had floor damage, I mean, get in there. I'm going to watch the rest of this race. No, but seriously, when Guan Yu Zhou had that
was scary.
Unreal crash.
I was like, is this man alive?
I mean,
I don't know.
You should be thanking Beyonce because of that Halo. Halo, Halo. Do you like that joke?
I like the song, not the joke.
Okay. But yeah, it was thank God for the Halo. A lot of people were criticizing when it first got implemented and it saved a couple lives. Now, who was the other one? The Haas driver, Grosjean.
I don't know if that was necessarily the Halo, but
well, something happened with Grosjean. Oh, he had like a fire, yeah. But anyway, the Halos turned out to be a great sort of invention for the F1 driving cars. And
even though they basically can't see anything when they drive anymore, but
well, it saves their fucking lives, so they should be grateful for it. So you've got the Halo having a massive impact in
the story of this race.
The Halo. We're gonna get copyrighted. So yeah. Obviously, that was enthralling to start off with, and then you've got just throughout the race. Checo started off and had major damage from that original thing. He had a red flag.
The red flag also, they put the positions back into the original grid order as opposed to leaving them how they were when the red flag, which I thought was a bit weird. Obviously, Daniel lost a couple of places there.
Yeah. Daniel. Well, yeah, that's probably the story of the race for Australians. Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, that you've got to admit now he's done. I mean,
I said it.
You cannot be losing to Latifi and just Latifi and two Haas cars in front of you.
It's not working. It's not working.
Yeah, it's pretty. And Lando Norris was 5th, 6th for the majority of that race.
Lando was pushing for a podium at the end.
Yeah, so it was very disappointing as an Australian to watch Danny Rick sort of flame out. Latifi, thank God that son of a bitch didn't get a friggin' point. Thank God. I hate him with all my... No, I don't hate him, but still, we all know what happened the last race of the year in last campaign. We all know what happened. We all know there was a bit of money slid under the table by Red Bull. He has a couple Red Bull cans in his fridge guaranteed. Let's be real here. He got lifetime supply of Red Bull. So Latifi's a grub. We all know it.
Latifi's a grub.
So
right.
I was glad he got out of the points. And obviously the story for me with Haas, I'm a Haas fan. Always been a Haas fan.
They finished in 8th, baby.
Mate, I've always been a Haas lover. Haas has always been my team. And even though they're Yanks, or they're owned by a Yank, it's still Kevy Mag and Mick Schumacher. I mean, everyone was so happy for Mick. He got, I think, 8th in the end. And Kevy Mag got 10th, so double points for the Haas team. And that 5th dream's still on, baby. The 5th dream is still on. I believe.
It's really not.
I believe. Well,
even with their double points, they still got less than McLaren did that race, even though McLaren only had one driver in the points.
Yeah, but
so
no, but the thing is, if Kevy Mag could easily finish within points in every race, he just had really bad sort of luck with the car, and the Ferrari engine being an absolute shitbox when it comes to laps that you have to do over like 10 laps. When you have to do over 10 laps, a Ferrari is an absolute...
Well, it worked this race.
But yeah, it was a sort of surprise. I mean, look, Ferrari tried to, or actively torped Leclerc's drive again. I mean, the guy was in first, and they're like, you know what? Stay out. Everyone else is getting
because
tyre changes.
I think it's because Sainz was in first, and
Leclerc was in first.
No, before that, Sainz was in first.
Yeah.
They let Leclerc go past him, so they had in the back of their mind, we've probably got to switch them around again at some point. So,
why?
Because that's usually how it works. If you let your driver pass at the end of the race, if nothing else changes, you swap the positions back. But
I don't agree with that.
That's just how it works.
I don't think that's how it should work, though. I mean, Leclerc's the one contending for... is the only realistic driver to contend for the championship.
If you want him to do that, then he should be able to overtake him fairly. Like, if your teammate pulls over to let you through, it's like...
Well, I get all the team sort of proponents, and they want, obviously, both cars to finish as high as possible. But I'm all for old-fashioned racing. I mean... Yeah,
obviously the fans are, but the fucking...
But that's my point. I fully supported Sainz, even though they told Sainz that you got to stay back of Leclerc. They wanted Leclerc out front, and Sainz just kind of hold up the other drivers. But Sainz was like, no, I ain't having that. I'm on the fresh tires. He's on the old hards. I'm gonna go past this guy and win my first Grand Prix, and I fully supported that. But I think it should go both ways. How they just let Leclerc out, just left him out to dry, and when everyone else,
I think it's because they wanted to bring Sainz in.
But couldn't they bring both in?
I mean, they could have, but they probably would have lost a bit of time.
But it was under a safety car.
Yeah, but they would have had to double stack.
Yeah, I know.
So someone would have had a slow stop still.
I understand that, but it was ridiculous.
But yeah, again, obviously Ferrari's strategy is absolute trash. So
it's trash when it comes to Leclerc. I don't know. I can't remember the last time Sainz got screwed over.
Oh, I'm sure he has.
But I can't remember the last time it happened. So Leclerc's been screwed over so many times either by the engine or the strategy from the Ferrari team. So it's a bit disappointing for him. But yeah, it was an eventful race. My favorite race of the year. Even not just because it's Silver
Lewis, the return of Lewis.
Not just because I'm a Lewis fan and Lewis actually contended in a race.
Yeah, Mercedes looked good. They might have been close to the fastest car at some points.
Yeah, Lewis got fastest lap of the race. So the Mercedes was much improved. You could definitely see that. It was unfortunate that George Russell got tangled up in that.
How does that happen? How was Mercedes that elite that they go from like
because they spend so much money,
the best car to the fastest car in the space of 2 months?
Because they spend so much money. It's ridiculous.
No, but every team spends a lot of money.
No, but they spend the most. They've got the biggest budget out of anyone.
Yeah, I guess, but still.
And they've probably made a lot of upgrades that haven't really kicked in until this weekend. But yeah, Silverstone, I think it was the 13th straight podium for Lewis at Silverstone.
Yeah, crazy.
That's crazy. But yeah, it was a great race. The best race of the year, in my opinion. Like I said, not just because Max was out of it. It was just the fact that it was so contentious, even going into the last, maybe it was sort of a foregone conclusion the last 3 or 4 laps. But other than that, it was a very sort of contentious race. You couldn't really pick a winner between 4 guys, and it was a really, really good race. And I'm glad to see Lewis Hamilton back amongst the podium and back contending.
Unlucky for George, but
can Mercedes mount a comeback? Can they?
I said way when last time we said this, it's too late. They can't win.
I mean, looking at that Mercedes car, I mean, even though the Red Bull looked
Even
quick,
if they win every
the Red Bull
race,
looked really quick as well, to be fair.
they're just too far behind. They can't win.
I agree with you, but I think on paper their drivers are still. I think they're both George Russell and Lewis combined are better than Sainz and Leclerc combined. Even though I rate Leclerc, I don't rate Sainz above George Russell or Lewis Hamilton. That may be controversial, but I think
Sainz and Russell.
I look at Russell. I mean, look at what Russell did with an absolute shitbox this year. I mean, he's finished in podiums for God's sake. So. Multiple podiums.
But that's through circumstance.
Do you think Sainz could have finished in a podium with that Mercedes?
If he keeps it on the track, that's all Russell did. It's guys in front of him are crashing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that I rate Russell above Sainz, and Leclerc, even though he's a great driver, I still probably rate Lewis just above him in a good car. No, I'm saying if they both were in the best car, I think Lewis could get the most out of it.
I don't know.
And that's just.
I think Leclerc and Max are.
I think that. I mean, that's obviously biased, probably, but I'm just saying Lewis has won. What was it? 7 championships in a row.
Not in a row, but
well, he's won a lot of championships.
He's won 7.
He's won 7 championships. So I just think he's still got the pace in him, and I think he showed this weekend that he can still go and contend for race wins, even though he's had a worse car throughout the year. So. Great weekend, and hopefully it continues for the F1, which is bound not to, because Leclerc's going to get shafted by his team again. Verstappen's going to be 20 seconds ahead by the 10th lap, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
What's the next race, do you know?
No, don't know.
Good info. Next topic.
Next topic. We'll talk about Ronnie.
Ronnie Jr.? Talking to speed or...
Sad day.
Who's Ronaldo again? Was it Ronnie Ronaldo? What's his name?
Ronaldo.
Christian Ronaldo.
Sweet.
But yeah, obviously I'm taking the piss there. It's news broken originally by Simon Stone, I want to say. It wasn't
of no one gives a fuck.
Well, okay, you don't know the football journalist, but it was of a reputable source, but it wasn't the main source of David Ornstein or Fabrizio Romano.
It wasn't the Woj.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, it's like. You know how Woj and Shams, the NBA sort of exclusive reporters, David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano are that of football. Like they're the elite journalists that get 100% of the stories right, essentially. So it wasn't originally broken by them. So I was like, he's probably just trying to see what's around for next time he's off contract, which is the end of this year or the end of next season. Turns out it was a genuine request for a transfer, and he wanted out.
Ronnie ain't happy.
And a lot of people have been like, oh, Man United in the mud. Man United in the mud. And it's like, oh, Ronnie wanted to leave.
I think it's more than mud.
Yeah, it's like hell at this point. But a lot of people are sort of contending why he's doing it and talking about why he would do it at this point in the season when we're just about to go on a preseason tour. And essentially what the main journalists, so the David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano, essentially what they're saying is that he was initially committed to Erik ten Hag and playing this season at Manchester United, and even playing in the Europa League. However, the lack of transfer activity by Manchester United in comparison to its competitors has just proven to Ronaldo, like, I'm 37 years old. I want to be contending for trophies. And if all of our rivals are signing 3 players already, and we've signed nobody, it's not the greatest sign in the world. I'm not going to lie.
But haven't the talks increased since then?
Well, okay.
Isn't the Barcelona dude?
Okay, so
coming?
That's another interesting story that I'll talk about. So Frankie de Jong, that deal's been happening for a long time. Again, David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano are sort of putting out that a fee's somewhat close to being agreed. The guaranteed money of 65 million euros is already agreed, but the add-ons of 20 million euros, because add-ons, they could be appearance-based or trophy-based, so they're just sort of negotiating which... how much amount of money is attributed to which add-on. That's just too complicated to talk about. But the point is that deal seemed like it was getting done a couple of days ago. It seemed like it was going to get done by probably sometime in the middle of this week. It felt really close, and Fabrizio Romano was saying it's really close. Even though the player in the club hasn't signed or like agreed a contract, Frankie de Jong is willing to go if Barcelona sell him. So that was the news coming out. And then all of a sudden, the Barcelona president... kind of came out in a press conference and said, we want to keep Frankie de Jong and we're renegotiating his contract. And I'm like, it's not the greatest news I've ever heard. I'm not going to lie. They outright saying, the president of the club is saying that they want to keep him and he's not for sale. It's not the greatest news. Turns out, but Laporta has done this before in terms of...
With Messi.
Yeah. But essentially what they're trying to do is saying like, well, they're basically asking de Jong, look, we can either sell you to Man United or you can take 200 grand a week less. Either one, make your pick. If you renegotiate your salary and make it a lot less, like 60% less of your salary, you can stay at Barcelona. Or we can transfer you to Manchester United and then adios. So that's basically the news that came out after the president said what he said. Fabrizio Romano saying the conversation's still on, talks are still on, the price is still being negotiated. It was basically a smokescreen and basically saying to de Jong and sort of deflecting blame from Barcelona when they decide to sell him or when they sell him. It's essentially saying, it's not our fault.
He's a money chaser.
Yeah, he's chasing the money. He's being selfish. He doesn't really love Barcelona. They're obviously not going to say that publicly, but that's the kind of perception that they want to put out into the media. So that's a lot better news. So for the Frankie de Jong deal, who's a much improved midfielder for our current midfield. I mean, we got McSauce in the midfield, so it's not great for us. So, but to have Frankie de Jong in there would greatly improve that position. So yeah, it's a necessary buy, and it's still on, according to Fabrizio. So back to...
So is Ronaldo, because United don't have to move him, do they?
No, he's got 1 year left on his contract.
So would he play if they're like, no, we're keeping you?
Well, technically, that's the stance that Man United are putting out. They're saying, look, you're not for sale. We want you here. However, Ronaldo has such player power, especially with the fans of Manchester United, that he basically gets a free pass to go if a suitable offer comes in. And that's what I imagine would happen. He's got so much player pool. And his preferred destinations at this point, I think, his agent was speaking to Chelsea.
Chelsea?
No, I don't think... No, Chelsea don't want him, apparently.
To replace Lukaku?
Yep. But that's another deal. Jesus Christ. But I think we've already talked about that. But yeah, so Ronaldo, he offered himself to Chelsea.
He's offered himself.
His agent has.
That's very nice of him.
His agent has. But essentially, the only logical one that I can see at this point is not Barca, is Bayern Munich. Because you look across the world and he's like, well, you've got to go to a club that can pay him his big salary. And the only club that would potentially have an opening in that for a main striker who could pay a salary would be Bayern Munich. And they're potentially going to lose Lewandowski to Barcelona. So they might need to replace him, and Ronaldo would be a prime sort of replacement. PSG has been sort of linked, but I don't see that happening at all. You've already got Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe. Where are you going to put Ronaldo in that? It just doesn't make any sense.
Just play him in midfield.
Just play him in midfield, centre mid. Put him in centre mid. He'll just bang in goals. So yeah, there's not really that many suitors, not that wouldn't want him, but are in the position to offer him the salary that he wants and the position that he wants at this time. Obviously, Man City, if Man City didn't sign Haaland, I'd fully expect them to go in for Ronaldo. Now, Manchester United would most likely reject any offer that Man City would offer for Ronaldo, but still, it's just a case now that there isn't that many openings for a mainline striker for the top clubs at this current moment. So, yeah, that's the news on Ronaldo specifically. Manchester United are going to wrap up a deal for a backup left back called Malacia.
I thought that was already...
Well, it was already essentially agreed, but the medicals have already happened today, I think they happened. So he should be announced by the club sometime tomorrow or the next day. So that's a backup left back that we're getting in. So we're going to contend now.
That is
just not
incredible.
Great. It's not great. Now there's rumours about Anthony at Ajax. You probably wouldn't know him. They're kind of propping up after Ronaldo put his transfer request in. I don't think it's going to happen this season, especially with Ajax selling so many players already. Lissandro Martinez from Ajax. Do you know who he is? Lisandro Martinez.
He's Argentinian.
He is. I'm surprised you know that. That's a good pickup.
And he's got like the hair.
He does have hair. Yeah, he does have a. No, he doesn't.
Like long hair.
No, he's got quite short hair actually. But yeah, it's a good thing with the Argentinian. I mean, you might have picked it up on the accent or something like that. Martinez is a quite common Argentinian name, I would say. But anyway, he's a defender for Ajax. He's 5'9". He plays centre back. I'm not too sure about it, but
it's like you.
I'm 5'11", mate. Don't you dare call me 5'9" publicly again. I am 5'11". Just because you're 6'9" doesn't mean you can misjudge my height, okay? I'm 5'11" flat.
Okay.
No BS right there, okay? I just want to put that out there. So yeah, Lisandro Martinez, 5'9" centre-back, who can play a multitude of positions. He's sort of being linked with Man United and Arsenal at this point. Ajax asking for about 40 to 45 million euros. So yeah, that's an interesting one. That's the Manchester United news at this point. It's very depressing, especially a couple of days ago when I heard the De Jong, because the director for Barcelona said the thing about De Jong, and the Ronaldo news came out on the same day, and it was kind of not great, for my psyche.
You can't blame Ronaldo really. I mean, Man United are a train wreck, and you couldn't blame anyone, especially at this point in his career, for wanting to stay.
Well,
there.
He came back to contend. And we finished second the season before. We signed Sancho and Varane. And he was thinking to himself, you know what? I could contend with Manchester United here. Turns out, we couldn't.
Europa League.
Yeah. And we were lucky to get that. We should have got Conference League, to be honest with you, if West Ham didn't bottle it. It's just very
he was clearly the best player on the team at 37 years of age. Like
clearly. He scored 18 goals in that team. Yeah. In Premier League goals in that team. 18 Premier League. And he would have got scored more if we went further in the Champions League, but he was great in the Champions League, especially in the group stages. It's just shocking how bad we were. Absolutely shocking. And people, I don't think, and you hear idiots like Jamie Carragher going, oh, he was the problem at Man United, or Man United should be thanking the gods that Ronaldo wants to leave. And it's like, shut up, you melon. You've won nothing in your entire career. I mean, you won a Champions League, but you won no Premier League titles. You were at Liverpool for 20 years. How about you shut up and realise that Ronaldo is the only good player at Manchester United. The only world-class player at Manchester United is Cristiano Ronaldo. And the rest of the team completely underperformed. And so far we haven't addressed it, so rightly so, he wants out. No Man United fan is wishing him... if you're a Man United fan and you're cussing out Ronaldo, you should show some respect.
Yeah, honestly, know your place, mate.
Know your place.
Know your place.
It's probably all those 13-year-olds that fucking...
They weren't alive for
the
first Ronaldo run. They didn't experience it.
Yeah, for our generation, maybe a bit older as well, he was the hero. I mean, he was my hero growing up, especially sporting hero, Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, yours was probably Matt Moylan or something ridiculous like that.
No, it was Ronaldo.
Matt Moylan too?
Huh?
Was Matt Moylan second on the childhood heroes?
No, Matt Moylan is like my adulthood hero.
You had an adulthood sporting hero?
Well, he wasn't really playing when I was a kid.
I mean, young teenager. He was coming through at the...
Yeah, but that's not when you talk about childhood hero. You're talking about, 8 years of age.
Yeah, so... Well, yeah, I mean, Ronaldo was a lot of us, our generation's hero. So it's very sad to see him go. And people say, do you regret Ronaldo coming to Manchester United? I could never regret it. I mean... No, it was... That moment...
I got a sick jersey from it.
It's not exactly what I was thinking, but what I was sort of alluding to was... Did you watch that game against Newcastle? His first game back?
I didn't watch the whole game, but
you didn't watch
I saw what happened.
You saw the highlights.
Yeah. Scored a double.
Unreal. But yeah, when I saw him walk out for the first time in a Manchester United colours.
Because the season started reasonably well. Like when he scored
we didn't play well. We didn't play well.
Yeah, but the results were...
Yeah, the results were pretty lucky. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, when he walked out at Old Trafford, in that beautiful red jersey, in a sea of 70,000 red.
No, just chanting his name.
And it was doing the Viva Ronaldo. It was just mad. I mean, I would shed a tear. It was emotional. I mean, it was emotional. It was unconstitutional for me to believe that this could happen again. I just couldn't comprehend that he was back at Manchester United.
When I was deep into soccer, 2014, 15, 16, around there.
When you're in the year 7As, you mean?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, you were the French
and
captain.
I followed every league.
You were the Thierry Henry of your team, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
More like the Debussy of your team, but still.
I was like Marcelo.
Nah. What position did you play? Left back?
Yeah.
You were like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a shit left back.
You
were like the Fabio of your team.
I was Roberto Carlos.
Okay, yeah, sure. Anyway, I've interrupted you there.
But yeah, around that time, every year, rumours were coming up. Ronaldo's going back to United. Ronaldo's going back to United. So I feel like those rumours have been there for years.
Well, he's always loved Man United. I think he's always wanted to come back, but we've been that utterly shit for the past 10 years. There's no I think he wanted to come back in when he went to Juventus originally. I think he wanted to come back then. But he's just... I don't think Mourinho wanted him at the time. It was something. But we've been so bad for the past 10 years that it's just been incomprehensible for him to go there, to come back. But finally, we finished second, and we add world-class players in Varane and Sancho, and we think, you know what, we can contend, and he thinks that as well. So he's like, you know what, I'm at Man United, baby. Let's go. I'm back, baby. But yeah, I think Real Madrid fans are kind of get a bad rap across the world for how they treat their players. So I think it's not safe to say, but it's maybe a bit contentious to say, but I think it's fair to say that Man United fans and Ronaldo have the best connection, I feel like. I feel like as a fan base and player connection in terms of Ronaldo.
I mean, what he did at Real Madrid is...
What he did at Man United as well. I think he's more adored by Manchester United fans, and I think he adores Man United fans as well.
Well, yeah. I think with Real Madrid, like they win so much, and if it's not Ronaldo, it's a new generational player. So,
but Man United fans will always have a place in their heart for Ronaldo. So I'm not mad at him for wanting to leave. And
if he goes to Bayern, he'll undoubtedly win the league there. So that would be 4 major European leagues he's won.
Yeah, he'd want to go to Bayern.
Crazy.
And I think Bayern would want him as well if Lewandowski moved on. And yeah, look, part of me wants him to go. If he's going to go, I want him to go now. I don't want it to be dragging on and it being a point for Ten Hag, it being a problem during pre-season and during the start of the season. I don't want that problem to happen. He should immediately go if he wants. If we're going to do it, we should either sort it out now and make sure that he stayed and committed for this season, or we should sell him straight away. I don't want it to be dragging on, and the problem is we don't have many strikers. I mean, we got Martial.
Is he still there? I thought he was leaving.
Well, he was on loan. Didn't have a great loan spell. He scored 1 goal, I think. And then, but he's back.
He's back.
Prime Anthony Martial's back.
There was a time when Martial...
What are you talking about?
There was a time when Martial was like one of the most hyped players in the world.
I mean, he won young...
at Monaco, he was a bit of a beast.
He won the... I forgot what it's called. The most talented youngster in the world. I forgot what it's called. It's like Young Boy of the Year or something. Sounds wrong. But anyway, he won that award. He was unreal. I mean, he's unbelievably talented. And a couple years... I think it was the... I'm not sure if it was Lockdown United, because that was not last season, the season before last. I think it was 3 seasons ago where he had a really good year. I think he scored 20 goals for the team. I think he scored, it might have been 14 Premier League goals. So, and you said to yourself, and he was 22 at the time, and you said, you know what, this guy can grow. This guy can get better and better. But we did bring in Cavani, and I think that sort of hurt his morale a bit. He's like, I thought I was the main striker here. And he got pushed out to the wing a couple times, and he didn't get that many consistent games and a run of games up top. I think it just hurt his confidence, and he got sort of put in as a utility player, more as a main out-and-out striker. And last season was horrendous for him. He went to Sevilla, didn't do well in January, and he's back now. And hopefully, if Ronaldo goes, I mean, I'd want him to get an opportunity, because I don't see any sort of... I mean, who else are we going to get? Who else is a striker that we're going to get that's going to be good? I mean, who's available? There's nobody, good strikers available at this moment. We lost out on Darwin Núñez. Haaland's gone to City. Jesus has gone to...
Arsenal.
The Christ Almighty is being recruited by Arsenal. So there's no one available. I just don't see a realistic option for us to get. So yeah, it's very disappointing. And I mean, Greenwood, I don't want him to come back at all.
Can he go back?
Well, the problem is he's still out on bail.
Is he still under contract?
Well, technically, I think. I'm not too sure, but he's still on bail. I don't want to get too deep into it, and obviously it's pretty... The evidence is stacked against him. Let's be real here.
But even still, like, there's people that have been found guilty that still play.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's not likely that he's going to go to
Well,
jail.
it's kind of on hold now because he's still on bail. And the police are still investigating it.
Is it like in the NRL where you have to wait until your trial's done before you can play again?
Well, I don't think he will ever play again, to be honest. The evidence was that public and that damning. I mean, he was literally... how do you get caught in 4K, bruv? Like, what are you doing? Like, it was clear... They got an audio recording of him, like, basically admitting it. Essentially. Or him being abusive.
Yeah, well, look at Amber Heard. There was a lot of audio recordings of her.
Well... But I mean, how imagine if she got into a major Hollywood film now. How much backlash would she get? A shit ton. So I don't think he'll be back anytime soon. He'll be booed and stuff if he ever came back. So I think we should take him out the equation. So we've got Martial. Rashford's a winger. He cannot play striker to save his life. Who else have we got? I mean, we're going to have to promote some youth guy. He's going to be the next...
Alanga, can he play striker?
No, he's a winger. It's ridiculous.
Can he play striker?
No, he's a winger. We got a lot of wingers, to be fair. But yeah, it's not great timing, Ronnie. Well, you could have done it... I mean, we didn't necessarily need you at the start of last season because we had Martial and Cavani up top. But now we don't have Cavani and Martial's got his confidence shot to bits, so... Yeah, it's not great for Manchester United at this point, and it's best to move on. Otherwise, I'll get depressed throughout the show.
Talking of other things that aren't great at the moment.
Gerrard Sutton?
Or great. No.
Oh, sorry.
We'll
that's another topic, yeah.
Yeah, we're not.
We'll get there. I'll get there, baby. I'll try.
Yeah.
I'm coming home with that.
Yeah, we'll leave that to the end. But certain NBA teams, I would say, their free agency period hasn't been the best. Others have been decent. But it's been a pretty crazy free agency period, I think, for a year that most people thought was going to be one of the quieter free agency years because there wasn't that many stars coming off contract. But it's turned out...
Well, the trade sort of happenings of free agency has been more interesting than the actual free agents. Yeah, so I guess a trade that happened about a week ago, the first big trade, I guess you could say, is DeJounte Murray going to the Hawks. I think that's I think what the Hawks paid for him is good, but I don't necessarily like the move. I don't see how him and Trae Young can work together because he's one of the worst shooters as a guard. He's a much better defender and they need defense on that team.
But he's going to have to play off the ball, and he can't shoot.
Yeah.
So
I understand that. But again, they don't have that many ball handlers in the team. I mean, you look at who else is a ball handler in that team.
No, but Trae Young.
But I think they'll stagger the minutes more, and they'll probably put DeJounte on when Trae Young's off, and sort of make him run point, and then when they're both on together, he'll run too. I don't think it's a terrible fit, and it was quite sort of nice to hear his sentiment afterwards and saying that San Antonio came to him and said, "Look, we're essentially going into a massive rebuild here. And we don't think it's right for your career if you're going to be just sat on a stinking team. So we'd like to trade you." And he was like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it." So they traded him, and I appreciate that from the Spurs. It could have...
The Spurs are that type of organisation. They're just...
he was on a really good deal as well, a really team-friendly contract.
He's a first-year All-Star on a pretty lowish deal for an All-Star guard. And he's got a few years left, I think.
Yeah, so they could have easily kept him and maybe said, you know what, if we rebuild, we could have a bad team for the next 2 years, but if we get enough talent in, we could sort of contend in his last year of his contract. So it was a really nice move from the Spurs, I thought. But that was not underwhelming, I don't think, but it was a team that you sort of thought would be in for DeJounte. It wasn't like a shock that he went to the Hawks, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it makes the Hawks marginally better, but I still don't think they're in contention in the East. And then, obviously, following that, a couple days ago, mind-boggling trade.
Wow. Oh, my God.
A mind-boggling trade, in my opinion. Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves for essentially 9 NBA players. Now... I'm not very good at maths, but I don't think one shit NBA player is worth 9 NBA players.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that math adds up quite
especially
too well.
When the team you're going to already has an out-and-out center and they are going to be exposed so badly on defense. It's ridiculous.
Can you imagine them in the playoffs? Could you just picture what the Clippers and other teams have done to the Utah Jazz with small ball lineups? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
What the Timberwolves is going to be like? I mean, it's not like Towns is like an agile guy here. He's a big, stocky motherfucker.
It's not like he's a Anthony Davis who can play the four quite easily. It's like
he's not the fastest guy in the world. Just a shocking trade. I mean, essentially 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. I mean, the guy sucks. Everyone on ESPN's like, oh.
Dude, I saw Kendrick Perkins, like, that's right. He's a Hall of Famer. He should be getting 4 first-round picks.
Let's not forget here.
Are you serious?
Let's not forget here that he was Defensive Player of the Year multiple times. People on this panel voted him for Defensive Player of the Year.
And I'm like, he's on a massive contract. He's going to be 35 when it ends. He is awful. And you've just...
Awful.
The Timberwolves, that's their entire franchise. They've just gone in on Rudy Gobert.
Let's stack up all our picks and trade for Rudy Gobert.
They officially... This is their team for the next 5 years.
And you're going to get...
They can't do anything else.
We're going to get we might get a bit of hate, but you might get a bit of Jazz fans saying, oh, well, Rudy Gobert was great. What are you talking about? He was a great Defensive Player of the Year. Won Defensive Player of the Year multiple times. Multiple-time All-Star. The point is, in the playoffs, he stinks. And that's when... I know this may be a shock to everybody, but that's when basketball actually matters. It doesn't really matter. The regular season doesn't matter to really that big of an extent unless you don't get in. Like, he may help you get a couple extra wins, Timberwolves. And people like, you saw on Twitter and stuff, like major sort of networks saying, what a blockbuster trade. Where do you think the Timberwolves will finish this season? I'm like, 8th? I don't know, like 8th, maybe 7th. He marginally improves them in the regular season.
They traded all of their depth away, basically. So
the Utah Jazz are like, oh, are you kidding me? We traded away, Anchor.
I mean, yeah, but the Jazz are still kind of fucked because can you see Donovan staying there now?
Everybody, it doesn't matter. Everybody flamed the Jazz for giving Rudy Gobert that contract. We're like $200 million for Rudy Gobert. I mean, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden it pays off to this extent. Like they hit the lottery. They're like, we overpaid massively for a guy and some team wants to take him off our hands. For 5 first-round picks.
Yeah, how does it get...
Unprotected. Not even any protections on it.
How does it get to that point where Minnesota are logically offering them this package? Are Utah saying no to 4 picks and Minnesota like, we'll give you 5? Or did Minnesota just come up with this deal in the first place and then Utah go, sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
That sounds good to us.
It was just, when I read it, I originally saw that Rudy Gobert was being traded to the Timberwolves. I'm like, why would they do that? They've already got Karl-Anthony Towns. And I'm like, what? That's such a weird move for the Timberwolves. I'm like, and I'm expecting it to be like a first-round pick and maybe a cap filler, like I don't know, a guy that's on a shit ton of money that's useless. Turns out they got everything. They got their entire future for Rudy Gobert, and this could easily go wrong. Now the Timberwolves, they have talent locked up for a long period of time. Obviously Edwards, they've got Russell's off contract though, but Karl-Anthony Towns is on a long-term contract, so I don't see them being like the front of the lottery, like it being a Brooklyn Nets Celtics trade where they traded Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry, and the Celtics just got a Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum in the future. I don't see them getting top 3 picks out of this. But the way that the lottery has sort of changed and how teams at the back end of the lottery have got much improved chances of contending for a number 1 pick or contending for a top 3 pick. This could easily go pear-shaped for the Timberwolves. And it was kind of funny. You didn't pick up on it, but the windy sort of memes that went on social media, because he essentially predicted a major move happening in Utah. He was like, hang on a second. He did. You see the W thing? This W meme, the windy?
No.
But yeah, he essentially said, he did like, well, why would the Jazz trade Royce O'Neal? Why would that happen? And then he was just doing he was like the most scintillating chat. It was like watching The Godfather. He was like, why would this happen? You've got to remember. And he was like shutting people up. And then somebody else said, well, they might be trading Donovan Mitchell. No. This might happen. Now this might happen. And it was so funny to see.
But I think everybody was saying one of them's going to go at the end of last year.
But the Chaz can sit there and go, hang on, we were screwed. Now we can trade these picks for an actual good player.
Or you can just become Oklahoma and trade Donovan as well.
Oh, you can do that. But I think they'll be probably more leaning to the fact that they want to keep Donovan now because they got so many picks for nothing, essentially. And they can just get an elite level player or get multiple solid. They could maybe pry a John Collins off of Atlanta, a player like that.
John Collins has to be the most trade rumored player in NBA history.
When I think of trades, it's like, John Collins.
How could he be happy with Atlanta? They try to get rid of him every season.
He must have like this no trade clause. And imagine if he had a no trade clause. Can you imagine that? Every single day he's walking up to the GM's office. The GM calls him up. Hey, John, by the way, we traded you. That's the third time this week, cunt. Why are you doing this? And he's like, who's it to? Oklahoma. I'm not going. I love Magic City.
I'm going to catch my lobs with Trey.
Yeah.
And you can fuck
I'm staying.
off.
But yeah, it's overall, that was just probably the worst trade I've ever seen. I can't think of a word. Now, obviously,
it was a bad trade.
Like I said, the Brooklyn-Boston trade was horrendous in hindsight. But in reality, at that point, then you could have said, the Nets were getting aging players, but they were still good players at that point. They were like, you know what? They're making a 2-year bid to win a championship. And you look back on hindsight, it wasn't a good trade. But this, right from the get-go, is a horrendous trade. I can't. A trade isn't coming to my brain. I can't think of a trade that's coming to my mind right now that's worse than this. I can't think of one. It's that bad. It's laughable. And I know we're probably the lowest on Rudy Gobert in the world. I mean, we're pretty low when it comes to Rudy.
I mean, I think a lot of NBA fans are low.
Shaq is low.
I think Shaq's low. I think it's just the ESPN media.
They just hype him up, yeah. And it's all the French people as well. They're like, oh, Rudy Gobert, let's vote for him as an all-star.
Obviously, French people are like, it's what Australian people
are the
vote
clueless.
for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, but they don't vote for Patty Mills, do they?
They like him though.
Yeah, but they don't vote for him for all-star. You're French people who vote for Rudy Gobert as an all-star. It's ridiculous. And it's all like the analysts and stuff. Like what are they called? Like the statisticians? Is that
statisticians?
Yeah, I always get confused with that word. But all those guys are like, according to this GPR rating, he's number 1 in defensive rating per season. And it's like,
as soon as he leaves the painted area, he trades in his Nike Hyperdunks for a pair of roller skates.
And I feel like telling him, but mate, when you actually watch the game, and in a playoff scenario where he has to guard a guy that's even 1 inch shorter than him, he's useless.
He's 7 foot tall, and I'm not confident he can make a layup.
What? I can't think of a basket that he's made other than a free throw or a dunk. I can't. Does he have any post moves?
He has the worst post moves of all time.
Does he have post moves? Does he have a jump shot?
He has worse post moves than Kwame Brown.
Yeah. What does he do? He would be Kwame Brown if he couldn't defend. Now, obviously, that's taken away his main part of his game. But offensively, from a offensive standpoint, his skill level is no better than DeAndre Jordan. He's DeAndre Jordan of 2012. Essentially. And you traded 4 first-round picks to get DeAndre Jordan. And DeAndre was, I think, a much more athletic player, and he could dunk basically anything around the rim, so he was much more valuable in that sense. So he was better an offensive player than Rudy Gobert, so it's just...
Easily.
Oh my God, it was just a horrendous trade. But do you want to get into worst free agent get, best free agent get for you?
Ooh, worst free agent get. Sacramento getting Malik Monk, the fucking scumbags.
It's like one of the best.
That's one of the best. The worst get. I think JaVale McGee giving him a 3-year deal.
Oh yeah, that's a bad one.
In Dallas, that is just...
How much? It was like 25 mil as well. It was something ridiculous. Or 25 mil.
I don't really get how he's still in the league, to be honest, let alone on a 3-year deal.
Well, he's Rudy Gobert. I mean, Rudy Gobert gets paid 200
Rudy
mil.
Gobert, but he's just somehow worse.
Yeah, I don't know how you get a worse Rudy Gobert. It's not happen. I don't know how that happens, but He didn't even play that much for the Suns. He was like a third string center.
He was talking like, I'm the piece they need to win the ring. Did not go so well, mate. But yeah, I just really don't understand that. Especially with, did they get it? They picked up Christian Wood. So
yeah, it's kind of sucked up that their mid-level. I don't know if they got him with the mid-level exception or they got him just with free agent cap space. But I don't know why they'd plug their cap space and take 3 years away of multi-million dollars. And it's not that big of a salary, but it's still a 3-year commitment.
It's just a strange person to give 3 years to.
It's like, yeah, they gave Dwight... They get in the habit of doing this. They gave Dwight Powell like $40 million. They just love giving out these 3-4 year deals to like decent role players, but they give them so much money. It's ridiculous. But what was your best best value get a free agency?
Best value. I don't know. Lonnie Walker.
Okay.
No, I like Brogdon to the Celtics, but that's not free agent. That was a trade, but
yeah, I'm kind of doing free agents here, buddy.
I don't know. I can't even think who else there is. Actually, Andre Drummond to the Bulls.
Yeah, it was great value.
The Lord and Savior himself, Andre Drummond, the greatest basketball player alive, has
Wilt Chamberlain
gone to the
2020s.
Chicago Bulls. Now, they instantly become a threat, in my opinion. They're probably favourites in the East.
They got Dragic as well.
They got Dragic as well. The Dragon
It's a
and the
threat.
Drummond, that is just an elite free agency pairing. Now,
It's a good name pairing as well, Dragic Drummond.
Yeah.
That has a nice ring to
the
it.
Bulls were decent last year. They made the playoffs. Maybe could have won a series if they didn't get injured. But now they're just automatically top 4 for me, and they're at least going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And, Andre Drummond should be an all-star if the NBA voters know what they're looking at.
Obviously. So for me, my sort of best value get was Dante DiVincenzo.
At
He's
the Warriors. Ooh.
2 year, $9 million. I thought, even though he's had multiple injuries,
He's all right, though. He's not great.
I know, but for the Warriors and their history of sort of picking up good talent, even though they lost Gary Payton, I thought it was a really, really good deal for them. Getting a guy on 2 year deal at $9 million, a guy that for the Milwaukee Bucks was consistently starting for them and putting up really good defensive numbers and being a good 3-point shooter as well. He was a really good player for the Bucks, I thought, and he didn't have that. He's been injured a lot and over the past couple of years, and he went to Sacramento, so that's where careers go to die. To be honest with you, but I thought
Monk of Willie, Malik Monk. What are you doing? What are you doing? How could you trade the Lakers for Sacramento?
Well, at this point, I think I'd rather go to the Sacramento Kings.
No.
But anyway, I just thought it was a low risk, high reward sort of move that he can be a real contributor in the playoffs, and you get him for $4 million a season. I just thought that was a really good move. Now the sort of worst value for me was something that we touched on the last podcast was Jalen Brunson. I just don't think he's worth $110 million. 4 year, $110 million. The Knicks, that is your last remaining bit of cap space, and you have all these picks. Well, I don't know how many picks. They probably got a couple picks. I don't know if they've got all these picks. I don't know if that's accurate, but they've got picks. They've got Julius Randle as a trade. I got to laugh when I said that, but still, they've got cap space available. This is your last bit of cap space available, and you spend it on Jalen Brunson. I don't know about that one. I really don't know if he's worth
about
that.
Chief. Does he even who is their starting point guard?
Kemba Walker.
Kemba, yeah.
But I mean, I know he's a good defender. I know he played well for the Mavericks last season, but really, is he? Do you see him going above the 18 points per game?
In an offense where all the attention's on Luka Doncic,
yeah, and he had a lot of open shots.
It's going to be a lot easier to score. So I don't know.
Yeah, that offense in New York was so stagnant last year. Julius Randle stunk up the joint with his just no efficiency whatsoever. Even though RJ Barrett had a breakout year, you could say it. Still, I just don't think they're very similar. They got 3. He's left-handed as well. You've got 3 left-handed players in the starting lineup. It's weird. It's predictable. They all have kind of the same game. They both like to back down and use their bigger size. All 3 of them like to use their bigger size and back down and take fadeaways and get into the lane and do jump hooks. It seems like they've got taller versions of it's like they've got just the same player but in 3 different sizes. It's very weird. I don't really like the fit. I don't like how they just signed his dad as an assistant coach to convince him. I don't know why they actively recruited him during the season. He's a good player. I don't like the fit, and I don't think he's going to really light the place on fire. And you spend your last bit of cap space on the guy. I just don't agree with it.
It's New York though. They're going to do this.
Well, they're going to screw up, and like they always have. But my opinion, as always, has been if you're not contending, you might as well be last. You don't get no reward for being in the middle in American sports. You get absolutely zero reward.
But for New York, being in the middle is an achievement.
But what kind of achievement? Who cares, mate? You're either in it to win it or you're in it to lose it.
They're in it to make eighth.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be that. That's the problem with their mentality. It's like, we just got to make playoffs. That's what Sacramento think. Look where they've been.
Sacramento don't even think that. They just think play in, please.
Middle of the road because they're like, we don't want to totally rebuild. The Indiana Pacers were like, you know what? This is our year to rebuild. We've got to rebuild. San Antonio Spurs, you know what? Our team's not good enough to contend. We need to rebuild. This team has the New York Knicks just, for some reason whatsoever, no reason whatsoever, believe that this team can make the playoffs, even though that shouldn't be an expectation. An expectation should either be you want to get the number one pick or you should win a championship, or at least contend for a championship, or at least build to win for a championship. I just don't see much improvement in these players. Not like you've got a Pelican situation where you've got a bunch of young talent, and they're all sort of improving year on year on year, and you can see a natural progression, and you just want to keep the team together so at some point they can contend. You want to see a team, sort of improve, but the Knicks just, do you see Julius Randle getting that much better?
No, he peaked 2 years ago.
I just don't see this team getting so much better with Jalen Brunson. Look, they could get in the play-in or get into the playoffs in a 7th, 8th role. I just don't see them doing anything more than that.
Nah, they won't.
I know Tibbs probably pushed for the guy. It's definitely a Tibbs kind of player, but
yeah, I feel like Tibbs is kind of just an overrated coach at this point.
What's with the lefties? Why do they want left-handed so much? It's weird.
I don't know. It just happens to be that they're all left-handed.
Yeah. Well, it's like they're trying to go for lefties at this point. I mean, you get 3 in a row. I mean, it's not a coincidence, I don't think. But anyway, moving on. Those were my 2.
Yeah. Well, I think we can quickly talk about the biggest story of free agency so far, the Brooklyn Nets. I think there's an ongoing battle now, a conversation between Brooklyn and the Lakers for the biggest disgrace of a franchise in NBA history. Now, Brooklyn have really put their hand up to take this position, this mantle.
Well, I think they're already in first.
I think they're probably leading the race. Out of the gates, they're probably ahead. Obviously, Kyrie Irving, they brought him back. Well, he opted in. Everyone thought he was going to opt out. He opted in. So we were like, okay, we're giving this one more go. A day later, Kevin Durant's like, sorry, I want to leave, please.
I ain't in here much longer. Thank you.
Yeah, so Kevin Durant has made it known that he wants to leave. Now, this has sent the whole league into a frenzy, basically. Everyone's just stopped, and they're all just offering whatever they can find for Kevin Durant. Now, if Rudy Gobert is worth 9 players, you have to think Kevin Durant is worth an entire franchise. So
I'd say a country. I think maybe a small country, maybe Guatemala. Is that no? That might be a state.
Maybe like Vanuatu,
Cuba, or New Zealand, or you got a country or something like that. Not much, just a small country.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cost of good players these days.
If bad players cost 9. Or 5 first-round picks. You can only imagine what... I mean, can you trade 100 first-round picks? I don't think you can.
I don't know.
Could you trade,
How far ahead can you trade? 10 years?
Look, we'll give you picks in 2027. Is that a good timeline for you guys? But yeah, it's just unreal. I mean, the fact that the Brooklyn Nets...
I think they're the biggest what-if in NBA history.
Well, yeah, I agree. Maybe I don't necessarily agree with that. What if the Lakers didn't cheat against Sacramento in the Western Conference Finals? What if that happened?
No, but in terms of a team,
we all know that
of superstars in their prime that under-delivered for 3 years, basically.
Yeah, I understand. look, I'm taking it from a probably different. You maybe look at it from the Kevin Durant. I don't think Kevin Durant has any bargaining power whatsoever. I mean, what is he? He signed a 4-year contract. He's got 4 years left on his deal. What does he expect? The Brooklyn Nets we'll trade you for nothing. How about that?
No, they're going to get a lot for him.
But what does any team have to offer? I mean, Paul George got traded for 8 first-round picks or something like that. I don't see. I mean, how Kevin Durant's got 4 years left on his deal when he was unreal last year. I personally don't see how a team could muster up any kind of deal unless they traded their. That's the thing. He wants to go to a contender.
Apparently, Phoenix is the front runner.
Yeah, but that's a problem.
You've
got to trade all your good players though to get him, and then by the time he gets there, he's like, "Oh, Brooklyn is a good team. I want to go back to Brooklyn." I want to go all the Suns players are on Brooklyn now, and I've got nobody.
Well, you still got Chris Paul, mate. So
yeah, he scores 12 points a game now. But from my point of view, the Kyrie Irving Russell Westbrook trade, how that is even considered, what kind of idiot in that Brooklyn Nets organization is going?
Well, I think they think.
Imagine if we could reunite Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. What idiot has not paid? Has he been living under a rock? Well, does he not understand that does not work?
I think what they're thinking is, instead of having a guy that doesn't care about basketball, we've at least got someone who, albeit is shit at basketball.
He can't play basketball.
Okay, he might be shit at basketball, but he cares about basketball.
Mate, I'd rather have nobody than Russell Westbrook.
Well,
I'd rather have...
Yes, if I get Kyrie for Westbrook, I am screaming hallelujah. We've made it.
Well, he should be fired. The general manager, if he makes that trade, should be fired yesterday if he made it. If he made that deal. It would be the worst trade. We just talked about Rudy Gobert.
It's up there with Gobert.
No, it's worse. It is 100% worse. Because at least the Timberwolves weren't going anywhere. So they're like, you know what? Chuck some picks in the air. Let's hope somebody grabs. Oh, we got a multiple-time All-Star. At least by an absolute casual's perspective, it's a trade, a realistic trade that could potentially happen. This trade...
Mate, casuals still think Westbrook is good.
Yeah, that is fair. But still, how you could... Russell Westbrook, I wouldn't trade... from a Clippers perspective, I wouldn't trade Amir Coffey for Russell Westbrook. I wouldn't trade Xavier Moon for... I wouldn't trade anybody for Russell Westbrook. He stinks. He's the most inefficient player. He can't shoot. He's lazy on defense now. He was a great defender. Now he's just lazy on defense. He doesn't do anything. Every time he gets like an assist to turnover rate, 1 assist to 1 turnover ratio. It's bizarre how he's considered a trade option. And the Lakers are going, you know what? We'll do this deal, but we don't want... And the Nets are like, well, can we include Joe Harris in this deal? Nah, we can't have Joe Harris. And I'm like, what are you doing? If you had to incur the entire debt of Brooklyn to make a Russell Westbrook Kyrie Irving trade happen, you should do it like that.
If you're getting 2 plays for him, that's even better. And a great shooter, exactly what we need.
They're no, we want Seth Curry, though. We can't have Joe Harris.
Joe Harris is arguably better shooter than Seth Curry.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Now, it is crazy. But Westbrook is, I don't know, he's just... He just doesn't know how to play anymore. And Kyrie... if you get Kyrie, it's not necessarily like, oh, Lakers are a contender now because he won't play half the season. But it's better, I guess. It's better.
Better. I mean, slightly.
It's better. And then you've got Ben Simmons just having a little cry in his room right now.
Oh, he's like,
he's just
Philly, can you take me back?
He's just thinking, what have I done?
Maybe I should have played last year. I don't know. Maybe I should have just faked an injury.
Because he is going to be playing with scrubs next year.
He maybe should have considered that. Maybe maybe I shouldn't betray the nation of Australia.
Maybe that's the way he likes it, though, when he's the best player on the team. And he's just like, give me the ball, I'm doing what I want.
Yeah, he told the GM, look, you got to trade Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I'm not playing.
If you want to see Big Ben suit up, you got to trade these blokes.
And I don't want you to trade him for stars. Trade him for nothing.
You get role players and second-round picks. That's it.
No first. Any lottery pick I will not accept. It's just unreal.
General manager's like, yes, Ben, anything you want.
Anything. We just want
anything to see you in a Nets jersey.
Yeah, He got flamed on, so he deleted his Instagram. I
I
think.
saw.
He got flamed because he posted like a picture of like getting ready to work, and it's like, yeah, sure, Big Ben, sure, buddy. Yeah, it's an awful trade proposition. How that is even? I mean, we had to talk about it on the last podcast. We were like, no way. And Windy, we were doubting Windy, good old Windy, who was sort of putting this out there. The Lakers aren't out of the Kyrie Irving sweepstakes. I'm like, what are they trading for him? What do they have to trade for Kyrie Irving? Nothing. Turns out they got Russell Westbrook, which I didn't even consider.
Because trading for Kyrie, there's not a lot of teams out there that have a guard on a comparable salary, really.
Yeah, but you don't want to incur a bad one, though. Apparently the rumors with Kevin Durant, though, are that the Raptors are sneaky in for him. But again, what are you trading? Scotty Barnes and a couple first-round picks? I don't think that's good enough.
No, you give him all the other players as well.
But then he's going to have nobody.
Who cares?
It's just going to be the same situation on Brooklyn.
Just try and keep Siakam or Van Vliet and then give it a go.
Oh, God. That's the thing with Kevin Durant's like, I probably shouldn't have signed that extension. I would have been a free agent right now, but...
Well, yeah, because he was... all three of them were meant to re-sign last year. He went first because he was like, follow me, boys. I'll put my dick on the table.
Then Kyrie was like,
paper.
I don't want to play this year, actually.
And Kyrie's gone, yeah, I think I'll pass on that. And then James Harden has just said...
He's eating honey buns. But you got a picture of him eating honey buns.
If Kyrie doesn't want to be here, I'm out. So, James Harden's gone, and... Now the Brooklyn Nets are a travesty.
Well, it was potentially the greatest team of all time turned into the worst team of all time. If Russell Westbrook gets traded for Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant gets traded for peanuts.
I want to see Westbrook and Simmons backcourt. That has to be the worst shooting backcourt in NBA history.
What idiot. That's the thing with the Nets. Imagine having to watch that as a Nets fan. Just be like, oh my God.
Westbrook drives, he kicks it out. Oh shit, it's Simmons. Fuck.
Simmons drives, kicks out to Westbrook. Oh, I don't know. Oh, he shoots a bank shot from the corner. Oh, he misses. Great. He always attempts why does he always attempt bank shots?
Obviously, his swish shots don't work, so go for the backboard.
Is that fucking retarded of a shot that he has to pray that the backboard saves him?
Yeah.
He's like, I call bank, bro. I call bank. That's skill.
Well, he's one of the only dudes that does go backboard a lot.
Yeah, he's like friggin' Paul Pierce, but he can't shoot. So moving on from the Nets drama, is there anything else to talk about this week? Is it Puto Madre of the week? Is it Puto Madre of the week?
We can quickly touch on the UFC. Did you watch it?
I don't have money, and you were obviously...
Well, you were going to go to the...
I could have gone, but I just... Oh, it turns out... Oh, mate, what do we call him? Reese 4? Reese 4 got COVID. Actually, he was the one.
Did he get that on the weekend?
Well, I don't know. I can't remember. But he said, hey, let's go to the pub to watch it. And I'm like, I can't be bothered. Turns out, next day we find out he's got COVID. So I'm glad I didn't go. So probably
I don't know why people still get tested.
You were coughing up blood essentially 20 minutes ago because you had an asthma attack.
So
you should be the most worried out of all of us.
I don't care. If I die, I die.
If I die, I die.
Seriously.
But yeah, the UFC, obviously, Volk dominated.
Yeah, very surprising. He won every round against Max. Really beat him up. So, I guess Volk is... A lot of people saying he's number one pound for pound now, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And Adesanya beat Cannonier. Pretty self-explanatory. No one thought Cannonier was going to win. It was a pretty boring fight, though, but...
Yeah.
So Pereira, the dude that's already beat him, knocked out Strickland in the first round. So that's the next fight.
I think we should recap your betting.
Oh, my betting.
Hang on.
Well, yes.
I've got to play the music. Yeah, do you have it up? Do you have the success rate up?
Well, I have. I didn't make the exact.
Hang on. We need to wait for this.
I don't have any data, but.
Oh my God, you're so poor.
Yeah.
Do you not have 4G data?
It's hard to explain, but I can't use it at the moment.
Why? You've been watching too much stuff on your phone?
Yeah, it's maxed out.
Right. Okay. So I was going to play inspirational music there and just go through how you won every multi. But did you win every multi? Did you make $1 million?
No. I did two separate bets. I did a favourites bet and an underdogs bet.
Yeah.
And the favourites bet, I I was one off. I got like 6 out of 7 or something.
No, it's not bad. You didn't
And
win 7.
and the one that lost is the one I wasn't sure about, but it was a chick. Like the first fight of the night, I was like, oh, she's a favorite. I'll go with her. But I didn't really know anything about her.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have done that.
How much would you have made if you didn't include her in the bet?
I don't know, like $90.
Okay. So how much did you put on 5 it again? 5?
Like 10.
Oh, okay.
15. Yeah, and then the favourites one, I think I lost a few. I mean
The underdogs
one. Yeah, I bet on Max and I bet.
Hey, so you bet on the favourite and underdog on each fight?
No, not on each fight.
You bet on
Just
both sides.
In each fight, the fighter that I picked,
I never lost. I bet both sides.
No, I put the underdogs in one multi and the favourites in one multi.
So
and
you
I
bet both
lost them
sides.
both.
So you did bet both sides.
No.
I don't get how this works.
In each fight, I picked one person to win.
Yeah.
If that person was a favourite, I put them in my favourites multi.
Oh, okay.
If the person is an underdog, I put them in my underdog multi.
So yeah, that's a very.
So yeah, unfortunately, the millionaire thing didn't work this week, but
Next week, well, he's promising. He's going to make up for it.
you know, a new day is a new opportunity,
Mm.
and I'm really feel like.
Do you have the list up of the people that you say? Because you did do a massive sort of speech on the names we should pick for the UFC.
Well, I can go through the card. On here.
Well, it was a good. I thought it was a decent. Sean Strickland,
He got knocked out.
he's a very smart man. Sean Strickland. He seems very intelligent.
Decided not to wrestle the best kickboxer in the UFC, so that was pretty smart.
Well, he's a banger, dude. He just doesn't care.
Okay, so yeah, so the first fight, I picked Jessica Rose Clark. She got submitted in 40 seconds.
Oh, so you didn't win.
That was the one I lost, the one I needed, and she got submitted in 40 seconds.
That's not good.
I picked Macy Barber. She won against Jessica I picked Andre Muniz. He won against Uriah Hall. Then I picked Dracus Duplessis. He beat Brad Tavares. I picked Ian Gary. He beat Gabe Green. I picked Cowboy. He lost. Got submitted.
What did I say?
And then
What did I say? I mean, I did say that.
yeah, well, and then Cowboy did retire, thankfully.
Thank God.
Put his hat and the gloves in the ring. Then I picked Brad Riddell, kind of a head bet, a heart bet, not a head bet.
Who did he lose to?
Who?
Brad Riddell. Who did he lose to?
Jalen Turner got submitted in 40 seconds.
Not a great pick by you then.
No, not a great pick. Then Sean O'Malley and Pedro Munoz was a no contest. Now I picked Sean O'Malley, and it was a no contest.
I thought he won.
No, he poked him in the eye and he couldn't continue.
That
So it's
sucks.
a no contest.
What was he winning the fight?
It was pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty close. Then I picked Robbie Lawler. He lost to Barberena.
What did I say? Didn't I also say that?
Well, yeah.
Maybe you should listen
The
to
thing
me.
is, Robbie looked good until he got knocked out. But
Yeah, but it turns out he has a chin of glass because he's 57 years old.
yeah, still. I picked Pereira. He knocked out Strickland in the first round. And then Volk beat Max, and then Izzy beat Cannonier.
Did you bet on Volk?
No, I was on Max.
So
that was
turns out
just-
you're not that smart, are you?
No, but that was value
Our
because
viewers
the value
lost all their money.
the value was on Max because he was a big underdog, and the first 2 fights were so close. But then somehow Volk became a god
Well,
and destroyed him.
all our viewers lost $1 million. So good on you.
Well, at least he did it smartly. Like that was smart.
How do you? Yeah, but you lost half the bets. It's not very smart, is it? So are we gonna do puta madre of the week?
Okay,
Your puta madre.
go for it.
You're da puta. So obviously, we're not. I'm a decent NRL fan. I say Dopey over here is probably a bigger NRL fan, but it was a massive game on the weekend. Roosters Panthers.
Massive for the Roosters.
It's a big game, the biggest game of the week.
Just another day in the office for the Panthers.
Well, we thought so. You thought it might be another day in the office. You thought it might be just an easy game, but turns out the Roosters played really well. They came out strong, and surprisingly, we were leading 18-14 going into the last 20 minutes, and the Panthers just scored a couple of tries at the end, and they won the game. And you think, you know what, that's going to be the end of it. Nothing really else happened. Turns out, Gerrard Sutton is being paid off by the Penrith Panthers, who are the biggest cheating... And if you don't know who Gerrard Sutton is, he's an NRL referee who refereed that game. Turns out the Panthers are the biggest, grubbiest, cheatest organisation in the history of sports. They did it in the finals last year against the Parramatta Eels. Their trainer, somebody on the Panthers gets a bruised toe, and the Parramatta Eels have to stop their entire offensive play when they've got momentum, when they're on the counter attack. No, you got to stop the game, ref. Sorry, our player's got a bruised toe.
Trainer calls it.
We all know that the NRL fined you, so by that point you were guilty of abusing the rules.
The player was screaming in
anyway,
pain.
we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the fact
snapped.
the multiple egregious calls that Gerrard Sutton made against the Roosters.
Great officiating.
If you looked on Twitter, if you looked on anywhere that talked about NRL, any panel, anyone that talked about rugby league, they said that this was the biggest grub of a ref, and they said they were robbed. The Roosters were absolutely robbed. And people hate the Roosters. People absolutely despise the Roosters. But most people, unless you're a deluded, grubby Panthers fan, can comprehend the fact that Gerrard Sutton completely stole the game from the Roosters. Now, I could go to multiple games because we outplayed them 100%. He admits
really?
It.
I do not admit.
He knows.
We played terribly and we still won
Oh, yeah,
easily.
played terribly and still won easily.
It didn't even look like we were going to lose at one point. We were so in control.
You were
of that
down
game.
by 4 with 10 minutes to go, you
but
dope.
It still felt like we were going to score and win.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you had Gerrard Sutton on your side, fucking giving you call after call.
We have such good players. Abby Coruscant. That's why he's better than Cook. Cook can't do that.
Oh, yeah, just shut up.
He
Okay.
can't.
So, the most egregious one happened in the first half, which led to your try, by the way. Led to a try for you.
Great try. Kick out destroyed your team.
Sam Verrills apparently put the opposite defender in a dangerous position, right?
It was
He was sat on the
similar to a
floor.
seesaw. His head could have been pile driven into the ground, rendering him unconscious and dead. So that is a very fair call.
It was a very fair call. I know you don't believe it was a very fair call.
Lucky it wasn't a sin bin. Very
Lucky
fair.
it wasn't a sin bin. He was sitting on the
Sam
ground. How the hell was it a dangerous
Sam
tackle?
Verrills is a notorious grub, and he's lucky he was
Oh my
allowed to
God.
play on.
See, I know when he's being sarcastic.
No, I'm
he's
not
just
sarcastic.
taking the piss.
No.
You said
The Roosters suck. Everyone hates them.
The other one, Angus Crichton's sin bin, right?
Again, great call.
One, Stephen Crichton, who's an actual grub and a proven grub, wasn't anywhere near the ball carrier. Wasn't anywhere near him. So
He was a support player. You can't take out
but
support
wasn't
players.
near him. And it was a light brush on the shoulder. And it was Crichton's like,
It doesn't matter. Any contact's contact.
falls down like
Professional
a fucking
foul.
pussy.
It's a professional
Fucking
foul.
falls down like a pussy that he is. Falls down. And it's not even that part that got everyone pissed off about it. It was the fact that the ref didn't see it. 4 plays later, the bunker calls him up and goes, hang on, you got to send him off.
That's great bunker officiating. That's why
You can't do that in rugby league.
The bunker is
That's
there
not part
to
of
make calls.
It's got to be on a play-by-play basis. Like, just if a ref misses
they've done well there.
no,
They've done well
shut
there.
up. If the ref misses an obstruction on the play before, and the next play a team scores a try, they can't pull it up for obstruction than the previous play, can they?
No, the bunker can do what they want.
It's the same thing, you
They're
idiot.
In control. The bunker can do what they want.
They don't, though. No,
do.
you can't pull up a previous play. If somebody knocked the ball on and the ref didn't see it on the previous play, and the next play, that team scores a try, the bunker can't pull the previous play up and say, well, they knocked it on the previous play.
Yeah, but
once the play is done, it's over.
Foul play. The bunker was like, this cannot continue.
Yeah,
this
fuck off,
cannot
mate.
be allowed. He has to be removed from the field.
Just shut up, mate.
If Angus Crichton wants to keep doing that, that's fine, but just don't do it against the Panthers, mate. Because
Now, the
you will
other
be
one.
found out.
Now, the one that cost us the game, because somehow through all this shithole refereeing, we were still 18-14 with 10-15 minutes left. Now, we're on our try line, right? We're on our try line. You're trying to score a try. Now, the ref gives 3 penalties in a row against the same player, Joey Manu, for jumping offside. Like he's got binoculars and he's just looking at Joey Manu up. And he's got binoculars and a stopwatch. And
Obviously, once
0.12 seconds.
Once you see someone do it once, you tend to watch them again to make sure they've corrected. And Joey Manu doesn't correct because he's a filthy cheater that runs off the line like he's Usain Bolt.
3 times in a row.
10-meter
3
rule.
times in a row. 3 times in a row to give your team. It wasn't like it was on the first tackle either. It was every time, fourth, fifth tackle.
You got to teach him a lesson somehow.
6 again.
You got to teach him a lesson somehow.
Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit.
You have to call the game fairly.
Hey, everybody knows.
Joey Manu's cheating.
Everybody knows that the Panthers jump offside like a bunch of little rats.
It's called line speed. It's called line speed.
Just line speed every single time.
Something the Roosters wouldn't know about.
Nobody else can do line speed, but you just happen to do it. The ref purposely.
We do it well because we're fit and we know how to run quick.
No other team's fit, yeah?
No, we're the fittest, easily.
Okay.
Easily.
So your team's just essentially, he lets all the Penrith offsides go. Yeah.
They're not offside. They just run off the line quickly.
Like Joey Manu did.
Yeah, but he does it before they play the ball.
No,
so
he
it's
doesn't.
Illegal. Yes, he does.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
You did not see him jump offside because he didn't do it once.
I did.
Okay? He didn't do it once. On top of that, 8-3 penalty count for nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just because he called these offsides and they end up scoring on the back of that on these 3 penalty calls that they got on a row on our try line for nothing. How are you... Everybody jumps offside slightly when you're on your try line.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
You have 1 foot on the line or you're offside.
It was the most unreal thing I've ever seen in my life. It was the worst refereeing, I think, in an NRL game there's ever been.
Not even close. That is the stuff of legends for referees. They show this.
How come everybody else, apart from you, thinks it was terrible?
In the refereeing course, this is the video instruction manual.
See, I know you're being sarcastic. I know.
Look at this.
I'm right.
This is how you officiate a game. Professional foul.
Mate,
Get rid of him.
No. This is how I know that I'm right, okay?
Why?
No, okay. I'm right, okay? So, I'm right because you're an idiot and Gerrard Sutton and everybody else in the rugby league media has fully backed my claim. Now, I didn't put my claim to them, but everybody else solemnly believes that this guy's an absolute grub.
Fuck Gerrard Sutton.
Gerrard Sutton, you cheat. You absolute cheat. You stole the game. We could miss the 8 now because of you, motherfucker. How dare you? How dare you steal a game?
The salary cap... You don't even need to be suspended. You've cheated the salary cap and you still can't even make the 8.
That's why everybody is backing us.
What a joke of a club.
Mate, you're paying all your players under the... How are you keeping all your players? You just want a premiership, you're paying them under the rug.
They're leaving.
Knows that.
We pay them fairly.
Mate.
And if
clues
they
on them. Clues on like 800k. Fucking why is it so loud? Yeah, Cleary's on like 800k. Yeah, just it's all right.
He is on.
He just took less to stay here. Fuck off. No, he didn't. He's paying him under the table. Paying him under the table. Everyone knows you're paying him under the table.
Mate, you had for 2019, you had about 8 $1 million players in your team.
Mate, the sombrero is real. Okay, it is
real.
It's a mystical thing though. It's like God. God is real, but we can't see it, so you can't prove it. So you got no proof. I've got proof that Cleary, the best player in the game, arguably. Oh, that ended shortly. But you can say that Cleary is arguably the best player in the game, right?
Not arguably.
Why would he take less?
He didn't take less.
He took like 1 mil.
Less than who? Who was offering him more?
I think every club would offer him more, buddy.
He could have got offered maybe. He could have got offered maybe 200,000 more.
Bit of money. Oh,
and why would you leave the best team in the league for 200,000 when you're getting
Penrith? No one wants to live in fucking Penrith.
Obviously, people do.
Nobody does.
Yeah, obviously people do.
No, they don't.
Still,
who would want to live in Penrith?
It's not about living there. It's about the club.
Well, they do have to live there.
It's about the club. It's about the culture. It's where they grew up, mate. They're locals there. They love the area. They're from the area. They're not like you, where they just want to live in glass houses and drink coffee all day. They're actually real men.
Real men, because they live in fucking Penrith. No, it was an absolutely egregious game, and everybody thinks it was. You're the only Muppet alive who thinks it wasn't an absolute robbery. You need to get it into your thick skull that you're an idiot.
It wasn't a robbery. It was a dominant performance.
Dominant? You were losing.
Exactly. That was the worst game we've played all year, apart from the Parrot game. And we won easily.
Again.
It just shows the levels. If we play well, that's 50-0 easily.
Every game, he says this. Every single game, he's like,
what? Every single game we win. We never lose.
Every time he loses.
It's the greatest club team in history.
Every single time he loses, this is the worst we've ever played. Worst we've ever played. When we lose,
we've never lost.
It's not maybe something to do with the opposition playing well. It's just we played horrible and you just took advantage of it.
It is, because you see when we play well, the opposition doesn't have a chance.
It's not the point. The point is the amount of egregious calls that we got against us and the fact that we got none against you. What was one advantageous decision that we got?
Oh, you got 3 penalties.
To your 8.
So?
Oh my god! He's my Puerto Madre of the week, and you are as well. You're going to be coupled into that because you are defending this muppet.
Obviously, I'm defending him. He's a real.
You should be a real fan and
the
say
officials they cop too much criticism. Seriously, they have the toughest job.
There we go.
Why are we roasting them? Seriously, they do their job very well.
Yeah, sure they do. Sure they do.
Underrated performance usually by officials, except Ashley Klein. Fuck that dude. But all the other officials, they're pretty good at their job.
Yeah, okay.
Especially Gerrard Sutton.
Is he? Is he really? I don't think he is.
I think so. Based on this last performance and that alone, I would say he's a decent referee.
So you think it was fairly reffed? You think both sides got
I think it was
equal rub of the green?
Yeah, I'd say so.
You're an idiot. This is why you know that he knows he got gifted a win because he's purposely being sarcastic.
You can't get gifted anything in the NRL, mate.
See, yeah, mate. I know you think you were gifted a win. I know you believe that.
No, I don't.
I know you do.
I don't.
Okay, admit that you were lucky.
No, why would I admit that?
Admit that the refereeing for you was lucky.
Your referee was fair and just, and we took advantage.
See, an actual, genuine sports fan would have put their hands up and say, you know what, we got fucking lucky.
Loyalty over everything.
So you agree it's loyalty and it's just your biases?
No.
Well, that's what you essentially just said.
I'm saying I would, no matter what happens, I will never go against the Panthers.
It's not going against the Panthers. It's saying that you were lucky in one game.
No, we weren't lucky.
I think you were, mate.
Stop decrediting our amazing win.
It wasn't an amazing win.
It was
our win that you stole because your fucking ref got paid off by your
It was ours. You stole it from us.
It's important
We need those 2 points more than you. You're already 10 points ahead of second. Give us the points.
Mate, you know what injuries are? They happened. You know
injuries?
You know the concept of injuries? Yeah,
I do.
All of our best players got fucking knocked the fuck out and retired.
Not now, not this year.
Yeah, but previous years it's accumulated up until this year. And Victor Radley and JWH has been out.
Wow.
And Lindsay Collins.
Wow.
So I know you don't understand the concept of injuries because you don't actually watch the games. I'm sure. I'm convinced you're like a simulation.
A simulation.
Like you're at the You're like the embodiment of the Panthers, like media, like the social media of the Panthers. You're the embodiment of that.
That's
like
great.
if the Panthers social media was a person and they like in a lab created a robot that was just exactly like their social media, it'd be you. It'd be absolutely you.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Back them to the end of the day. You back every player, no matter if they're dog wank. Because he backed Momorowski. He told me that he was the best defensive centre in the league. Turns out he's wank. He can't even play over Billy Smith.
He was great last year.
Oh, he's great last year. Yeah,
he won a comp. He won a comp at centre.
Okay, cool. Doesn't mean he's that good.
Has to be pretty good.
Well, according to you, he was a great defensive centre. All I'm saying is he can't defend to save his life.
He can't even get. Robbo's a shit coach,
mate.
He doesn't know how.
He's a shit coach. He's won 3 premierships. You dope. You've won 1.
He has a.
Show some respect.
He has a $30 million salary cap.
Respect.
He should be winning.
Show some respect.
Respect. Ivan Cleary will.
Have you won back to back? Have you won back to back?
We're about to.
No, have you?
About 2 months away from it.
I'm asking you. Have you?
Yeah.
Have you won back to back?
Technically, we have. Yeah.
No, you haven't. Do you have 2 back to back trophies in your whatever you call your Penrith shithole?
When's the last time you won?
Like 3 years ago.
An age ago.
Like 3 years ago.
You're talking to the defending premiers.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, you also blew it against Melbourne Storm, and I was there with you, and I watched you cry.
We're basically back to back.
I watched you cry.
We essentially won that game.
If it wasn't for Cody Walker, if it wasn't for Cody Walker, you would have lost that game.
No, we wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
We would have found a way.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, we would have.
You would have lost.
No, because the game was tied then. They weren't even up at that point.
Yeah, but if Adam Reynolds would have equalised here, they would have won.
They would have tied.
Well, yeah, they could have. That's what I'm saying. If he would have equalised, then
Cleary's slotting it if he gets the chance.
Come on,
the Iceman doesn't miss,
mate. You were lucky in that game, and you were lucky in this game. That's all I've got to say.
We were unlucky in the Melbourne game. We should have won that game. That was scripting if I've ever seen it. Cameron Smith's last game, the league wanted him to go out a winner.
They dominated you in the first half.
Yeah, because of refereeing decisions.
What refereeing decisions?
There was a horrendous. There was 2 tries we scored pulled back for a shitty knock on and a shitty obstruction.
They were both knock ons. There was a knock on though.
No, and one of them was an obstruction that wasn't obstruction, and that is fact.
But you also scored a try that was an obstruction that was given.
No.
In the second half.
No.
I remember it because I was there.
It wasn't an obstruction.
It was.
No, it wasn't. And then Melbourne just scored shitty intercept tries.
Shitty like you did in the grand final the next year.
Yeah, but ours was cool.
How was yours any cooler?
Because no one likes seeing
What's his name?
Pappenhausen score an intercept.
It wasn't. Oh no, Pappenhausen didn't score an intercept.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't. He did it off a scrum.
Well,
He scored off a scrum.
I'll find the winger then.
Yeah, it wasn't Vunivalu or whatever his name was.
He was playing 2020.
It was. It was the
Yeah, it must have been
Fijian
Vunivalu.
geezer.
Fuck that.
That was a sick intercept. He did like a leap up here. Crichton just got gifted the ball to him by Cody Walker. He was getting paid off by the Panthers. That's another
Cody
player.
Walker's getting paid off.
Another
now.
player's getting paid off by the Panthers. You just got. That's how much. See, at least we pay. We give like all of our extra money to our players and we compensate them. You just pay off other people like absolute mafia.
Really?
grub.
Oh, do you have any proof of that?
Yes.
Do you?
Through the egregious refereeing decisions
That's
and
your
the egregious opposing player mistakes.
Okay, so but Cody Walker's thrown an intercepted. He's been paid.
Mate, come on. That was...
You know how much Cody
slot.
Walker loves the Rabbitohs? He bleeds red and green. He would never take a
Does
payment to throw a grand final.
I think, depending on how high the payment was, though. I mean,
he would never do that. Never do it.
has Gus Gould ever talked to Cody Walker? We need to look this up. Because Gus Gould, guarantee in the background,
I doubt
was
it.
like...
Gus Gould probably hates Cody Walker.
Why is that?
He's a grub. Gus Gould hates grubs.
Why? According to... How do you know that? Gus Gould was a grub as a player. What do you mean?
I know Gus, and he doesn't like grubs.
You know him?
Yeah.
How often do you talk to him?
Well, I don't know him personally, but I know him.
You know him from afar.
I know.
Okay.
I know how his moral compass operates.
Yeah, sure you do. So all I'm saying is that the Panthers are the grubbiest organization and the biggest cheating organization in the history of the NRL. Everybody knows it. Everybody.
This is some salt. The most dominant team in NRL history, and you just have
Dominic, you've won once, you dope.
So the 3-year domination is incredible.
3
years.
You didn't win 3 years ago.
So we were the best team in the comp.
You
Then
didn't
we
win.
won. It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It doesn't matter.
It kind of matters. The whole point of the competition is to win it.
And then this season, we are by far the best team. By far.
Cool.
I've never seen a team this good in my life.
You haven't won it yet, though.
I've never seen a team this good in my life.
Cool. Cool.
It's just official. The greatest team of all time.
It's not official.
Roosters 19 team doesn't have anything on it.
We won back-to-back.
Early
though.
2000s
We won back-to-back.
Broncos. Yeah, so?
So?
I'm saying if our team was in that competition, we would have won.
What? That was
How could you
prime
say
Melbourne. We beat prime Melbourne.
Prime Melbourne was 17, which they won.
Yeah, we beat them the year after. They were still prime Melbourne, you idiot.
They're still Prime Melbourne. No, it doesn't matter.
They won
what
the
I'm
year
saying-
after
what I'm
that
saying-
we won.
What I'm saying.
We won two. They won 1 year. They won a year. Then we won the next two, and then they won the year after that against you.
Yes.
So shut up.
I'm saying this team right now beats all of those teams.
It doesn't know.
Why? It does.
It's not. How do you don't even know that for sure? One.
That's my opinion, and my opinion is right. So
No,
yeah.
it's not because the Broncos team was much better than that.
Nah. Early Broncos teams, they ain't got shit. Raiders teams, all the old teams that are good, they're not beating.
And the Roosters team, I can do play for play right now and say that we got better players.
You don't though. Well, you might have better players on paper because you pay them all $1 million. But
Yeah, but you said you were the better team.
In terms of team chemistry and who's going to win the rugby match. Who's going to win the rugby league match? It's us.
We won back-to-back. We won the rugby league matches, you idiot.
How are you saying that? Oh, that has no impact. We're comparing teams from different years. We're not saying you didn't win. You won that year, but we're saying your team that year is not better than Panthers team
Why
this
would
year.
you say that?
Because I watched those years and they weren't as good as this team.
Okay, but that's just a wrong opinion because we won back-to-back and you won one. You've won one. We've won back-to-back.
That doesn't matter.
It does matter, though.
I'm just saying the on-field performance. Just because you were the best team
We had better
for 2
players.
years.
We had a better coach. And we won 2 championships back-to-back. What else do you want? Should I trust your eye test? Your eye test should be
Yes.
the sole measure of who's a better team.
Pretty much.
Okay, yeah. All right, I think that just kind of proves the point that you're a bit deluded because you think
Not
Gerrard.
deluded. I'm
I mean, you just ruined your own point because you think Gerrard Sutton had a good game. So,
What do you mean?
well, because according to your eye test, Gerrard Sutton was a good ref on the weekend.
He was a good ref.
So, so just everything the Panthers do, in your opinion, then would be so much more inflated. They would be the worst team in the NRL. You say they're the best team in the history of the league.
No, I definitely.
According to your
I was
eye test.
I was not
And you're
happy.
blind as well.
3 years ago, Ivan's first year, we missed the 8 altogether. I was not saying they were the best team that year.
Oh, really?
I was calling for Ivan's head. I wanted him gone because he'd made us go backwards. But Boy, has he turned it around.
Yeah,
And now I will never want that silver fox to leave us.
Silver fox, he looks ugly, cunt.
That's it. That's
Silver fox? Who calls him a silver fox?
Like all the media people.
Yes. Who's all the media people? You're just making people up.
All the Fox League people.
Yeah, I think it's just you.
No. Whenever he comes on, it's like it's a silver fox.
Okay, yeah. I think you're just making that up. But anyway, moving on. In essence, right, we can all acclaim that Oscar is blind and that even though I'm partially blind.
In terms of people that are getting blind at an alarming rate, this man over here, he's got glasses now, so it's all downhill from here. And
yeah, but I can still see without my glasses. You still can't.
I can see.
I've looked inside those lenses. They are...
Well, have you looked inside my eyeballs?
I can see. If you need those glasses to see, then it's alarming. That's to say the least. Anyway, it's not about me. It's about the fact that we can clearly gain from his insights that Oscar is blind and his eye test is stupid because he believes Gerrard Sutton was not had a good performance on the weekend. So anyway, that's my Puta Madre of the week. Do you have a Puta Madre of the week? Just to quickly wrap it up.
Yeah, you're my Puta Madre of the week.
Why is that?
For that horrendous take.
That Gerrard Sutton had a terrible game. It's like the most common opinion in the whole of NRL. I haven't watched... it's probably just happened NRL 360. You watch NRL. You watch Buzzy Boy. Back me up, all right? Buzzy Boy and Kenty.
If Kenty or Buzz or fucking Hoops or whoever else they have on there thinks that Gerrard Sutton didn't have a good game, you know, it's their job to say that. They literally get paid.
The fact that it's a topic.
They literally get paid to have controversial rugby league opinions on TV. So
the fact that it's a topic proves that it was a controversial game.
It's a topic because people like you are telling them it's a topic. So
I didn't tell them.
Yeah, but people on Twitter tell them what topics to do.
People on Twitter. So like rugby league fans on Twitter. So like the
rugby league fans are blind, most of them.
So you're just the right one, even though you can't.
Yeah, there's there's usually a very small minority of people that are in fact right.
Just you. Who else is right?
I'm sure other Panthers fans are right.
Panthers fans. Okay, that's where we wrap it up. He's clearly gone off the rails. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this emergency episode to address all the free agency news and the F1 and all the Ronaldo transfer requests. So
yeah, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Insta, follow us on TikTok. Peace.